I think one of the problems that the men have is back in their home country, you know, a 60-year-old guy who's got no hair, he's not going to get a compliment from a 20-year-old girl. It just doesn't happen. You know, wow, look at you, you're a cool guy. It doesn't happen. The bar lifestyle is all about getting high, gambling, being up all night and sleeping till noon the next day. They don't like the food. They don't like the climate. There's nobody to talk to. And they are expected to slot into a totally different lifestyle. And this is not what they had in mind.
What's the story, folks? Pete here from Thairish Times. I hope you're doing well wherever you are. In this video, I'm going to be talking to a man who doesn't need much of an introduction, but I will introduce him anyway. His name is Paul Wallace. He spent 38 years in Thailand, and in this video, he's going to talk about the foreign men who marry Thai bar girls and take them back to their home countries. As always, Paul's going to share stories of his experiences, of people he's met along the way who have done exactly that. Let's get straight into it.
I know one guy, he was a teacher. This is going back, I don't know, late 90s, I suppose. Fell in love with a bar girl. They lived together for 6 months here, and he says to me one day, I'm going to take her home. And I said, well, be honest with you, the cards are stacked against you. Why? He said. I said, well, one, you got the bar girl thing. Yeah, she's into a routine of her lifestyle and how it is, and that's all going to end. I said, and then you've got the culture shock, because it is a culture shock, you know, and you're really going to have to work hard to make it work. You're going to have to go through it all with her about what it's like over there, you know. Sit her in the fridge for half an hour and see how she feels about that, and say to her, well, that's a winter's morning for you. He took her back. It was a lot of hassle to get her there, and she was back within 3 months. And I contacted him, and he said, biggest mistake I ever made was letting her hook up with other Thai girls over there. And he said, she was fine until she met these other girls. And they said to her, you do what? And he doesn't let you do this, and you do... No, that's not the way to be. He said, she got ideas from these other girls, and it just changed everything for us. My wife's cousin got out there. I think we've done, this was in our previous interview we did about the plight of the bar girls. She lucked out. She met a guy on her second day, I think it was, working at a bar in Samui, and he turned out to be a good guy, and they're still over there now, and they're still happy. But I think one of the reasons why that one worked is she was not yet ingrained in the bar girl lifestyle. The bar lifestyle is all about getting high, gambling, being up all night, and sleeping till noon the next day. I got quite a funny one to tell you about Thais living abroad. When I went back to England after I got rescued, if you like, yeah. Been there a few months, I suppose, and I'm at this party. And this guy comes over to me, English guy, you know, hey, can you speak Thai? And I said, yeah. He says, yeah, somebody just told me you can speak Thai well. And I said, fluently, yeah. Oh, can you really do something for me? He said, I have a Thai wife, and we've been here a year, and I want her to know stuff, you know, and we have this big language barrier. So do you think it would be okay if maybe would meet in a pub somewhere nearby here in the next day or two, and you talk to my wife? I said, yeah, sure, no problem. This guy's over the moon about this. So, sure enough, we meet. I think it was the summer, actually, because we sat in the garden. And he said to me, while she's there, he says, now, I want you to tell her this, he said. She must realise just how lucky she is that I've brought her here. I want her to understand how much money I've spent to get her here, and that she should be grateful. So we had a little chat and a few more beers, and I said, well, okay, just leave us alone for a while. So we're there, me and her, and I start to talk to her in Thai, you know. And it turns out that he beats her, right? He's an alcoholic, he beats her. He's kept her Thai passport. He doesn't let her go anywhere except work. She works and she has to give him all her money. So basically it's a nightmare situation this girl's in, and she said, I'm so happy to be able to tell somebody this. She was terrified, Pete. She didn't know what to do. So I said to her, well, look, your embassy will help you here. You need to contact somebody from the embassy and tell them that your partner is withholding your passport and you want to go home. I said, you do want to go? Oh my God, yes, do I want to go home. So that's what I told her, and then he came back and he said, how'd it go? I said, yep, I've told her everything you said. And she said, oh God, yeah, I never really saw it in that way, but yeah, I am. I'm very, very grateful, and I'll do my best. He said, she doesn't speak any English. Tell her she's got to learn the language. I did a little bit of that in front of her and here and there, but I then found out a couple of months later that she left. The embassy sent the cops round there. They made him give her passport. And the very next day she went off, and I don't know what happened, but she flew home a few days later. Yeah, terrible situation for her. And I think, I can perfectly understand this. You come from a third world country and you have an opportunity to go and live in the UK, and wow, and the girls really have this idea of the grass is greener on the other side. But when they actually get there, they don't like the food. They don't like the climate. There's nobody to talk to. And they are expected to slot into a totally different lifestyle. And this is not what they had in mind. So I think some of the time it ends up, within 6 months to a year that the marriage breaks up. Not all the time. I know a few guys who live in the UK who have Thai wives, and the Thai wives have adapted well to it, and everything's been okay. But yeah, I do feel so sorry for the ones that go thinking it's all going to be wonderful, and they have no experience of traveling, they have no experience of being in another culture, and more often than not the guys are not too supportive, and they have the attitude of, I want everybody to look at my beautiful wife, almost like they got a new car, it's kind of like that. And I think
I met this guy, an Irish guy, in a pub in Dublin about 6-7 months ago. I was actually doing a live stream in the pub,
right?
And he was watching the live stream. He was in the city and he came into the pub, he sat down, we had a beer, finished the live stream, whatever. A real nice guy, and he's been married to a Thai woman in Dublin for, I think, maybe 15-20 years, I'd say. And he was very well connected with the Thai community in Ireland.
Yeah.
And he was telling me the good stories and the bad stories, and one of the bad stories he said was he knows this Irish guy who won't let his Thai wife eat Thai food. And I thought that was an absolute sin of the highest order.
Absolutely, yeah.
Food is everything to Thai people.
I mean, especially when you're catapulted into a totally different culture, at least you could have your own food. I mean, let's face it, Thai food is everywhere in the world. There isn't a city in the Western world that doesn't have a Thai restaurant. Yeah, now that's an awful thing to do, eh? Awful. Yeah. To be honest, Pete, if there's any guys out there who are prepared to go to all the trouble, and it is a lot of trouble, to get your Thai partner back to your home country, and she's a bar girl or was a bar girl, then the odds are really stacked against you. And I think my advice would be, you've got to be absolutely honest with her about what life's going to be like over there. How are you going to feel about this? You won't be able to speak the language. If she doesn't know how to speak English, and you're throwing her into an immersive situation. And as long as they know that, then I think you've got a chance. But you've got to be supportive. You've really got to be supportive. And I think there are lies told on both sides of the fence sometimes. Yeah, it'll be lovely. You'll love it over here. I'll take care of you. You won't have to worry about anything. Well, what does he really want? You know, a lot of the times, all he wants is a good-looking woman to be with him and take care of him and give him a good time all the time. And in his eyes, the fact that he's paid out all this money to get you over there, that's good enough. You know, and doesn't work like that. I think those relationships, they just don't last long.
Do you think it's a mistake that some foreigners make, marrying a Thai woman that's a bar girl, when there's so many other, like, if you think about it, right? It's a transactional relationship,
yes.
But so many foreigners still fall into it knowing that that's what it is. Right. Some are happy to do it, some don't realise.
Therein lies the problem, I think, Pete. It is a transactional relationship, and it works if both sides are absolutely honest about what they want out of it. I think one of the problems, and it may not be completely like this today, but it certainly was back then, you know, if you were to come here and you're looking to have a good time with a few girls, you know, or meet a girl even for a long-term relationship, you know, how do you meet Thai girls? You know, how? Well, it was very difficult, next to impossible when I was into the bar girl scene. So naturally, you go to the bar because you know that those girls, they're up for what you want. And you know, if you're honest about it, it can work. Bringing them back to a different culture is so difficult. There are so many hurdles, there are so many obstacles. And if the guy is really supportive and they're together for the right reasons, it can work. You know, I've heard of cases where they're still going strong and it works, but they have to be completely upfront, and he's got to be supportive for her. It's a lot for her to have to deal with, going to a strange country where she doesn't get the food, the temperature, the culture, everything's different, the language. It's very, very difficult for them.
What happens when a bar girl doesn't meet a foreigner that will take her back to her country? What happens as she ages? Because I mean, it looks like it's all based on looks.
Absolutely,
so
it is.
What happens when, you know, 40, 50 years of age comes around?
Well,
I haven't met anyone.
The smart ones would put money away for the future. Maybe just do it for a short amount of time. I did know one girl. I went with her a few times. Nice girl. And she told me, she says, "Yep, me and my sister, we're doing this for 2 years. We both put half of our money into a special account, and we're going to do this for 2 years. Then we're going to open a car dealership." And I think that's what they did. But you know, once they get close to that sell-by date, they've got choices. They could be a cashier, or they could be a mammasan. Now, there's a difficult job, being the mammasan, you know, the one who takes care of all the girls, because it's very difficult to take care of the girls. You know, the girls used to tell me sometimes that the problems that they had at their place, you know, where one girl saw this guy 3 years on the trot, and then the next year he came back and took one of the other girls instead of her, and you know, and there's animosity there, you know, and then there's gambling debts that come into play, and all this kind of thing. It's very difficult to run a bar successfully and keep everybody happy, I think.
You mentioned gambling debts there, because I've seen it back in Ireland. I told you off camera there, I had one experience where we invited to someone's house, went there was a lot of Thai people there. There was a lot of gambling going on. You mentioned a lot of it, you know, ex-bar girls in the UK and Ireland and other countries like that tend to gamble, that there are gambling issues with gambling. Yeah. I read online in a comment on a YouTube video that someone said that it's linked to PTSD of being a prostitute, basically.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, if you take a bar girl back to your home country, she really will seek out other people of her nationality. She will by default. And I don't think you should stop that. But if they were all bar girls too, then what are they going to do? They're going to drink and gamble like they used to do. You know, I think part of it is one of the reasons why they gamble is because they've got nothing to do. bar's not open yet. You know, they've been to sleep, they woke up, what are they going to do? You know, so they play pop dang or whatever they want to play, you know. And it's you get into that kind of lifestyle and then you expect it to stop.
In the Western world, we use the word pimp.
Right.
Is a mammasan a pimp, or are they linked? I mean,
she's a manager. Yeah, she manages the girls, so she'll make sure there's no fights. Yeah, she'll keep an eye on the relationships that the girls have, and any bad behaviour, she'll be on that. And it's a full-time job for her to manage the girls. You know, you might have one that's cut her wrists a few times, and you might have another one that's got arrested for drugs, and you know, there's all kinds of problems that might go on. The mammasan is the one. I've never known of a bar where the foreign bar owner manages his girls. I don't think it's possible. I might be wrong, but no.
Well, it's just so different with the different culture.
Well, yeah. You've really got to understand these girls, you know, and keep them in order. And it can be difficult. You know, you're expecting them to have fun with the clients, aren't you? You know, so they drink, and you know what drink's like. Some people are fine and some people are not. It's a powder keg.
Often, with different tourists, you'll meet someone who's brand new to Thailand, and they'll walk down, say, Soy Cowboy, and as they reach the other end of Cowboy, some of them would say, they'd look and they'd say, this is shocking. Others obviously would enjoy it, but some would say, this is shocking. These girls are exploited and trafficked. Do you think that's the case?
No, I don't. Steve Ross nailed it on the head. Steve Ross said on one of his videos, no, it's just a transaction. It's an agreement between two consenting adults about services. And if you approach it like that, and you're upfront with the girl, and most importantly of all, you treat her with some respect, as you would if she wasn't in that profession, then you're very unlikely to get any problems. The problems only occur when maybe the guy tells her, oh, you know, I think I'm in love with you and I want you to come back with me. And I think one of the problems that the men have is back in their home country, you know, a 60-year-old guy who's got no hair, he's not going to get a compliment from a 20-year-old girl. It just doesn't happen. You know, wow, look at you, you're a cool guy. It doesn't happen. So I think that melts their protection, you know, when a 25-year-old girl says to you in the morning, wow, you know, that's the best night I've ever had. Boy, you're an amazing guy. They just suck it up, you know, whereas they wouldn't normally. As what is it? People say you leave your brains at the arrivals lounge. I don't know. It can be difficult.
Paul,
wonderful
legend. Thanks very much. See you on the next one, folks. Hope you enjoyed this beautiful view and
yeah, what a place.
Stunning. I just can't get over it. What a place. What a place. Out near the airport. That's all I'm saying. Out near Suvarnabhumi Airport. We're not going to give it away. But thanks for watching. See you on the next one.